It's your main man, E-Vapors, back with another Cartalk TV Live with my main man, Car Show Rail. And today, we're going live with I8 Pat. We're going to have him join us right now and get it started, y'all. Man, I8 Pat, man, is a real good guy, man. Fellow I8 owner like myself, man. And I'm just excited to go ahead and get this thing started. I8 Pat, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
You can hear me?
I can hear you.
Can you see me?
I can see you. I think we look almost exactly the same today.
I threw a little bit of E-Vapors on it, though.
Oh, okay. See, I got to step up my game.
Yeah, I threw a little bit of E-Vapors on it, man. But first things first, man, on behalf of myself and Car Show Rail, we want to thank you for accepting our invitation to be a part of Car Talk TV, where we love to showcase cars and car enthusiasts, but more importantly, man, try to get a little bit of the secret sauce on how these car enthusiasts get to where they are, man. So thank you for accepting our invitation and welcome to Car Talk TV.
Thank you so much. It's an honor to be here. I've enjoyed catching up with Cartalk TV, both here on Instagram Live and on YouTube, and it's purely a pleasure. I know you and I talk a lot, but it's definitely good to meet up here on the Cartalk TV channel and let the public hear what we all got to say.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and clear the air real quick, man, because these people are probably looking like, okay, they got the same shirt on. Like, how did that unfold, man? How did E-Vapors end up with with the garage, with the official garage shirt, man? Go ahead, fill the folk in on that.
Well, because E-Vapors and I both have the same car, we have the BMW I8. We've gotten to grow a really good friendship over the past few months, and that's one of the most excellent things about not only YouTube but being able to get together on all social media platforms and talk about things that are important to us, get some questions answered, and E-Vapors has been there. He had my back from I want to say day one. It's been a long time. He's one of my OG subscribers, and I've been very happy to have him on board. And one day I was just sewing a new little tape on the front of the shirt there, and Eric said, "Hey, I'd like to get one of those." I said, "Eric, for all your support, it's my pleasure to be able to send one in your direction." So it's great to see you be part of the Pat's Garage Online family.
Oh man, I should have brought my cup out, man. I just got my bottle of water with me, right? If I would have been thinking, I would have brought my cup too, man, so I could toast to you real quick, man. I know this about you, and this is something that we both have in common as we're talking about cars. As a Chevy guy, I had a Camaro for about 8 years, and I had the Camaro and the I8 at the same time. And my driveway situation here is not the optimal situation, so I literally had to sell the Camaro to make room in the driveway. And of course, as soon as I sell it, my wife is like, "Let's extend the driveway." I sold the car, and now we added a piece of cement on the side of the driveway, which I could have put the Camaro. But I had an affinity for the Corvette. I wanted the C7 so bad. I knew all of the models, man. Give us some of that background on your Corvette or Chevy love and getting to the I8.
Absolutely. So I fell in love with the Corvette from an early age, and growing up in a very small rural town in Pennsylvania, my dad was a mechanic, and that's all we knew was Fords and Chevys and Dodges, and things like this behind me. That wasn't really something that was even driven in the area. So having access to different American-made muscle at the time, and growing up with friends that also loved an American-made muscle, we just all enjoyed talking about someday owning something really cool. The Corvette, that was up here. I mean, that was a goal. And when I was 19, I was in the military. I foolishly decided to take my E3 pay, which was next to nothing, and turn that into a car note and buy a 1978 Corvette. And when that thing broke, of course, it was different than everything else. It had independent rear suspension. That was, very rare for a muscle car. It was four-wheel rotors instead of having drum brakes. You had, rotors all the way around. So it was a learning process. And my dad was there to help me out, as I come home from my time in the military, I'd go visit, drive from Maryland to Pennsylvania, which was a fairly short trip. And he would help me out on working on that car, and I learned a lot on that car. But it got to the point where I was tired of actually using that car because it didn't have air conditioning. People love the car. I love the car. I would take it to car shows and cruises, but it didn't have air conditioning. And I got sick of it. I said, you know what? I need to upgrade. So I sold the car for exactly what I bought it for, and owned it for 6 years. And that's when I bought myself a 1997 Corvette, and that was around the time of 2000. And the internet was alive and well then, and I spent a lot of times on the forums. And at the time, people were afraid to work on the car. And I said, it's like any other Corvette. You jack it up, you take the parts off, you put the parts back on or whatever. And I posted some instructions on the Corvette forum at the time, and eventually decided, you know what, I'm going to use my IT skills because I work in cybersecurity. I'm going to create a website, and I'm going to put up how-to articles and information, and that's when I went ahead and registered 97vet.com, and that is still out there today, even though I never kept it up. It's like a version 1 HTML website, but people still use it. They still click on the processes and procedures on how to do oil changes, and even from replacing all the exhaust from the headers all the way back. So that's really what got me started. And sadly, in 2010, right around the time of the financial crisis, I had to sell my Corvette. I couldn't afford to go on because I had to take a huge pay cut because I was working for a bank at the time. And I had no sports car from the time that I had sold that Corvette in 2010 until 2019 when I picked up the BMW I8.
Hey, speaking of, I know you mentioned that you was in the military, man, and myself and Car Show Rail, we both are, well, all three of us are veterans, man. And when I tell you, it's so many different bonds out here when it comes to cars. We may meet on the car level, but at the end of the day, I find out so many things that we all have in common. But you're from a different town. I'm from a different town. We all have different backgrounds, different ethnicities. What have been some of the cool things through cars that you've been able to learn, enjoy, or discover?
It really helped me get closer to people. I'm actually an introvert. It's very hard for me to just walk up to somebody and start talking, but cars opened up an opportunity for me because I could just park the car somewhere and somebody could come up and ask me questions about it, and then I could open up. I'm really cool about having conversation with people, but it's breaking the ice that was always very difficult for me. So having the car scene there definitely helped me sort of break out of my personal shell, and that's also allowed me to connect with all kinds of people. Like you said, in the military, we had access to all people from all over the world. We learned a lot of things about people. We learned about their struggles and their pain and all their positiveness as well. And we always had each other's back. And part of that, I think, the car scene sort of has a little bit of that. I think there's more of a positivity in the car scene than negativity. And I think it brings people together, especially times like these. I think everybody that enjoys cars and enjoys going out to car events, working on cars, or just communicating via social media. I think the car scene's done a great thing socially.
Yeah, no, I gotta agree with you on that, man. And on that same line, it feels kind of weird because we met. You kind of said it earlier, just through YouTube. Like, we've never met in person, but literally just following you on YouTube, communicating with you on Instagram and different groups that we're a part of. It feels like I know you, and I know some of the other guys that we hang out with on a regular basis, man. Who have been some of the people, maybe recognizable names that you've met through cars that other people might recognize that you don't mind sharing?
Not at all, no. So because I was outside of the car scene from for the past 10 years, really before I had the BMW I8, I really didn't know anybody. I think that once I got the I8, and then I decided I'm going to take my knowledge that I'm learning about the car, because the car was completely high tech, completely outside of the realm of anything I ever put a wrench on. I
Mhm.
decided to create my social media account, because I had the 97vet.com webpage and all the pictures and the instructions, but the world evolved, and I felt I wanted to catch up. I felt like I'm going to do an oil change and I'm going to record it. So I put that on the internet, and soon after that, I had people coming to me and asking me to come along to events. But even prior to that, before I bought the BMW I8, I got on YouTube right away, and I wanted to learn more about what this car was like. And I know you went through a similar experience before you purchased it,
Yes.
and that's when I started with the Heidi and Franny's garage. And it was really nice because we exchanged a lot of emails and phone calls. And then when I was out in Colorado last year, they said, please be sure to stop by. So I had an opportunity to visit them right there in the garage. And everything from Heidi and Franny to just happen to be at the right place at the right time, and befriending the folks from Savage Garage. I mean, that's been an amazing experience, because I've never been that close to supercars and hypercars before. But I think the i8, because the i8 is an exotic car, I wouldn't call it a supercar, but it's an exotic car. It sort of opens the doors and the opportunities into the realm of the supercar and the hypercar community. And there hasn't been a car event that I've been invited to where they didn't say, we're going to go on a cruise, and I want to stick you up front here on this cruise with the rest of the hypercars and supercars. Nobody's ever said you got the BMW I8, park back there with whatever. That's never happened. Now the I8, as you know, gets a lot of love and a lot of hate, but I think that having a YouTube channel and I just started off with an oil change video. The demand was there for more content, and it took off, and it's really opened up a lot of doors and a lot of opportunities, at least in the car community, and it's built a great network for me. I know that there are a lot of car people that do other things, as we do on a day-to-day basis, and it's really given me an opportunity to network with a lot of people outside of the realm of the typical, car community.
Yeah, man. You had mentioned Heidi and Fran's garage, man. When when I saw the video of you actually pulling up at Heidi and Fran's garage, it was like the best of both of my worlds were colliding at the same time. Here it is. I'm following this guy that I feel like is really informative with an i8, and literally there was no one else out there on YouTube that was talking i8 on a consistent basis. And I saw Heidi and Friends I8 video, and a reaction video actually, and it really sparked my interest with the I8 before I even had one. So when I saw you meet them, I'm like, okay, this is all meant to be, right? My guy Pat, you didn't have, I don't know how many subscribers you had. I don't know, it was a couple hundred maybe. It was early on, but you kind of already said it, but is there one reason, if you could just pick out the number one reason that you started a YouTube channel, what would it be? If you could just narrow it down, why am I doing YouTube? Why is Pat doing YouTube?
I just wanted to help people. I wanted to provide knowledge, because there's a lot of information out there, but sometimes it's hard for people to find it. And for me, I'm just a nerd, I love to soak up information. I love to dig into the service manuals and the tech guides. And then when people are like asking me questions and saying, how do you do this stuff? I know where to look for it. I know where to give an answer. And then it turns into more and more people are asking similar questions. I just may as well do a video on this, because if there's that much demand for this information, let's just put it out there. And that's mainly the thing that I continue to do, is just provide more of a service than anything else. Now, of course, YouTube, as I've grown, became monetized, which is a nice benefit. Having some type of, extra income on the side helps, because then I'm able to do projects that I normally wouldn't do. So, for example, putting race gas in the i8, seeing how fast it would go,
Yeah.
I would never do that. Why would I spend, $10 a gallon to put race gas in the car? But having that opportunity to be able to take some of that money that you do get from ad revenue, it's not a lot, but being able to turn that back into the channel, to me, that makes it a little bit more fun. It's fun for me, and I think it's fun for my viewers as well. But going back to your first question, you asked about, what doors and opportunities have I had with the car, and it's not just only the car community, but being invited to help put the car into a music video. I mean, that was awesome, and I know you remember that as well. I know like Johnny Vice and the guys, Acti, he was out there producing. It was just an interesting experience, and I got to tell you, if I didn't have this car, I wouldn't have been invited to that either. And to me, that was a special thing, and something, a good memory that I'll never forget. And same with the photo shoots. I'm being invited to sit in photo shoots with photographers. Even yesterday, got to do a photo shoot, and it's really, really cool just having that opportunity, and I feel very blessed.
It's funny you said that, man. We're kind me and I'm gonna look at me and you like Mel Gibson and Danny Glover, right? They're brothers from a different mother. Because my next question was about the music video. I promise you that I was literally just about to say, how did that come about? What did that feel like watching your car in an actual music video? I've had several requests. I actually had one last week from my friend. His name is Rico Barrino. He's an R&B singer. But I was already, it was my last day of work. Y'all know, some of y'all know I resigned from my job. And it was my last day that I was going in, which was Thursday. And he asked if I could bring it down to Myrtle Beach for his latest music video. And I was kind of disappointed because, man, my car was almost in, a pretty dope R&B singer's latest music video, man. But beyond that, and I was just asking about some of those names, the Heidi and Friends, the Savage Garages. Have you or are you planning on going on any of those rallies, the gumball rally type events? What are your thoughts on those type of events with the I8?
I would love to participate in a rally, but at the same time, I'm a frugal person. So, like all my videos, I'm trying to save people money because I'm trying to save me money. I usually don't just blow a lot of money on car parts and accessories. I find a way to make the car better on the cheap. So it's hard for me to find a rally that I'm very interested in doing and spending the money on them, because depending on the size of the rally, you could pay $20,000 just to get in it. And I don't have that kind of money for play. I do keep my money tied up in my retirement more than anything. I put money away for retirement. Sometimes I put too much money away for retirement, then I can't touch it because taxes. But that prevents me, I think, from just spending it on things that I don't need to. And yeah, I think the rallies are really cool. But the other thing about the rallies, and I've participated on a few local ones, and the speeds get up pretty high, and some of the rocks and the debris from the road kicks back on your car. You really need to have your car PPF, which I don't, and that really saves the car. And you need to be okay that if you get a ticket and some points on your license, that you're not going to go over the threshold where you're losing your license. So I haven't had a ticket since 1994. And that's only because I am very careful. And, there are times where I like to, push the car a little bit. But honestly, I'm happy enjoying the car at legal speeds or close to legal speeds, and just trying to avoid, doing things that are going to get me a ticket. It doesn't mean I can't be pulled over. You can be pulled over and not get a ticket. It happens all the time. Yeah. But yeah, getting a ticket, I want to avoid getting a ticket where I can. That's why I still have a front license plate on the car. A lot of people don't like to run them, but in the state of Maryland, we have to, and that's mainly the thing. But one of the rallies I did a rally with Sunset Auto Club last year, which was really good. But it just happens to be one of those things where my schedule doesn't meet up to participate in those. But that's one of the groups here in the immediate area where I did one of their cruises last year. It was a lot of fun. Dominic runs a great program at Sunset.
Gotcha. So what area are you in? I know with COVID going on right now, it kind of put a pause on all of the cars and coffees and different gatherings with cars. And now we kind of been a few months in it, and I've been seeing more local events here in the Fort Bragg, Fayetteville, North Carolina area. What area are you in, and what known car events do you frequent, if any?
Sure. So I live about a half hour northwest of Baltimore, Maryland. So I'm in a semi-rural area, so it takes me about 40 minutes to drive to a Cars and Coffee event. Some of the Cars and Coffee events that I like to attend are Hunt Valley Horsepower, which is in Hunt Valley, Maryland. I will go down to the Cars and Coffee in Laurel, Corridor Cars and Coffee. Those are about equidistant, far enough away from my house. I will frequent Pennsylvania and go up to the Lancaster Cars and Coffee, but that's about an hour and a half drive. I'll go down to Katie's Cars and Coffee. That's about an hour and a half drive. And I want to get down to Dulles. They have a Cars and Coffee down there near the airport, but that's even a little bit further. So attending Cars and Coffee events, and it's good to get there early. You know, you get a good parking spot. You get a parking place where you can open your doors up, because as you know, you got 2 feet, you know, between the door and your next whatever, right? So you got to find that parking place that gives you enough room to open the doors up. So I like to get there early, which means that I have to get up, um, you know, probably 5 o'clock in the morning and get on the road to some of these things. So, yeah, COVID has put a damper on it. There are a few Cars and Coffees that are still going, but they're not advertised as official. And that's simply because whoever's hosting the property, they may not really want a large gathering there, so they're trying to keep it, you know, quiet, saying, you know, if you do show up, you know, you're on your own. This isn't an organized event. But some of them are, you know, especially in Pennsylvania, they've been organized, and they're doing really well. I just went on one 2 weeks ago, which was a Toys for Tots campaign.
Right.
They're really low on Toys for Tots right now because, you know, people are staying in and they're not donating. You know, they don't have the money to donate as much. So it was a toy drive in July, and it's going to keep going. So those types of events I really enjoy because it feels good to give back to the community. It's one thing to show up at a car event. You know, you feel like you're showing off a little bit, which that's not me. I'm an introvert. But, you know, it feels good to be able to open my wallet or you know, hit the store before the event. Yeah, do what I can to help the kids out that are less fortunate.
Yeah, no, that is huge, man. And it's funny again, we Mel Gibson, Danny Glover again, because literally when I started my channel, one of the first things that I was dropping in my description, there's a local school here in Spring Lake, North Carolina, that basically the majority of these students that go there, they're families that live under the poverty line. So they have this website. It's an independent company that has all the school supplies. So people can feel comfortable about going to that website, buying the school supplies, and that company sends the school supply straight to the school. You know, so there's no barrier of, I wonder where's the money going, are you feeling funny or whatever. And I remember literally the first couple videos that I made, that was one of my purposes, was to raise awareness and raise money for the local schools. And I'm glad you said what you just said. But to kind of move specifically onto the I8, and we're talking about money, you have saved me a lot of money. Let me just tell the people what I'm talking about here. Well, the first thing I say is real easy. The tires. So I need new tires on the I8. The I8 is an all-wheel drive car. I'm still learning how the tire wear works based on how I drive, or how should I modify the way I drive. Why are my back tires wearing more than my front tires? Because I bought brand new back tires 6 months ago, and now they're looking like racing slicks. And I'm trying to figure out, okay, what do I do? I didn't replace the front ones, but I clearly know, based on talking to you, I almost spent almost $2,000 through BMW for a set of tires. And then you gave me the specific specs on some tires that are suggested OEM. Was OEM? Yeah.
Well, they're not an OEM tire. They're actually not what BMW recommends, but they're highly recommended from a lot of more intelligent people in the BMW I8 community than me. Put it that way.
Right. So literally, when I got a quote on those tires from BMW, it was $1,000. So it went from almost $2,000 to $1,000 with a highly suggested tire to use that has more tread life. I need more tread life. I think that one has a 10. I think the BMW has like 8. And I'm like, I'm not going to buy 6 months from now. I'm not trying to buy tires again. I just really don't want to do that. And I know that I'm not racing. I'm not doing anything crazy. I'm literally in sport mode a lot, but I'm not doing anything crazy. I'm not going 85 miles per hour in turns. I'm not doing anything out of the norm that anybody else would do, driving their car to work as a daily driver. But you saved me a lot of money on the tires, and you gave me so much valuable information when my AC compressor failed in my i8. And for you guys that don't know, this BMW I8, it's an expensive car. It's a $150,000 car, the models that we have, and it's not cheap, and you really can't work on it. That's why Pat is like a superstar, because he's been able to get in there and do some things. It was a $5,000 expected bill. I ended up paying $1,200. Let me just say that. But Pat, what are some of the things that have come in through the channel that has been consistent with i8s that are issues that somebody's sitting at home right now watching this? I want to buy a BMW i8, man, because I love the doors. That's great. I'm glad you love the doors. I do too. But what are some of those things, Pat, that these future owners should be aware of?
Number one, make sure you have 10 grand in the bank. If you have a warranty, you're good to go. But the day after the warranty goes out, if you have a minor thing, which would normally be a minor thing in a regular car, is a potential very expensive thing with the BMW i8. So these aren't things that we can detect until they happen. That's the sad thing. There's no way for me to plug in a computer into the diagnostic port and bring something up and go, oh, you're going to have this issue. It actually comes by surprise. The number one thing, let's just dovetail off of what you said with the air conditioning. That's right now the air conditioning system not only keeps the cabin cool, but it keeps the high voltage battery modules cool. So unlike a Tesla, which uses the coolant, the liquid coolant, the i8 uses the air conditioning refrigerant and runs that through the high voltage battery that's, here in the car, and it keeps the high voltage battery cool. So the air conditioning compressor is running more often, and it's required to put more refrigerant through the system besides just cooling the cabin. So, and the style of compressor that they're using right now, it generates a lot of heat in the process. So when the compressor fails, it could potentially shatter all kinds of metal through the system, which means that all their refrigerant lines that run through that battery are now getting shrapnel from the air conditioning compressor. So you were quoted a very low cost because all you needed was to have the air conditioning compressor replaced. But if you would have waited longer, there's a potential that you could have had a catastrophic failure of that compressor, and it would have sent metal all throughout the system. And if they would have had to drop the battery enclosure, take the air conditioning condenser and all the systems in the front of the car off, and if they couldn't just replace those individual parts that are close to the compressor and they had to replace everything, they would have quoted you $18,000. And that's what some of the people that own i8s are saying. When I have an air conditioning problem, it's costing me somewhere between $3,000 and $1,800 or $18,000, and it's sad because it's a design problem in my opinion. And having the kind of money to fix that is necessary, because if the air conditioning compressor breaks, then you can't cool the batteries, and you could potentially not drive the car. So what do you do when the car isn't drivable? You just can't sell it. Nobody's going to buy that, or they're going to offer you $20,000 less than what it's worth. So you got to fix it. You really have to worry about things like that. There have been other issues. There have been problems with coolant because kind of like a Porsche, there's a radiator in the front, the engine's in the back, so the coolant lines start high, and then they go really low, and then they go really high again. So when you have a coolant leak, it lowers the very top level of where those water jackets are at, and you get air back here at the top of the engine. It could have a potential overheating problem. So things like that are expensive because they got to drain the entire system, replace the broken part, vacuum out the system, put the coolant in where the vacuum then pulls the coolant back in, and go through the process of trying to make sure all the air pockets are out of it. And sometimes they don't get it right. They got to do it multiple times. So these are some of the things that we need to consider when we're looking at an i8 is long term, you know, are we going to have those issues? The final thing I want to talk about is the battery, and that's because I get a ton of questions about the high voltage battery.
Yeah.
The battery in this thing that behind me is an 8-year, 100,000-mile warranted battery. So if we drive the car, if it's 2015, like you and I have, and we drive it for 8 years, at that point we need to make a decision. Should we get rid of the car? Or should we consider if there's something going on with it, you know, do we need to put a new battery in it? And a new battery, who knows what the cost is exactly, because I haven't seen anybody actually replace a battery yet. But I believe each module in the battery is $3,000, and there are 6 modules in there. So along with the labor and then the air conditioning refilling and everything like that, it's going to be a hefty price just to make sure that the battery modules are replaced. Now, in 8 years after the first 2014 is done and the battery's about ready to be expired, an aftermarket company may come up with a replacement, and we may have a cheap, higher capacity battery on hand, which would be really awesome. But if that's not the case, you know, 8 years is the lifetime. It's like buying a new cell phone or a new laptop. You know eventually you're just going to toss it. You know, technology's going to have an issue, and it's going to be better to get rid of it than keep it. So I worry about things like that.
Yeah, you know, and it's funny you saying that, man. And I think about that often myself. And you know that I went to LA recently and spent some time in a Porsche 911 Carrera Cabriolet 4S. Had a lot of fun with it. And when I immediately went to my hotel room and got on Car Gurus and started, you know, looking at, you know, pricing on Porsches and different cars that are kind of, you know, supercarish in that realm. With what you just said, would you consider trading the i8 in? It's almost, I'm kind of looking at it like a stock. And is this stock at its peak? You know, should I sell? But part of me feels like I have a classic, and one day there'll be a shortage, and no one will have i8s except for me, you, and the other 20 people that kept them. What are your thoughts on keeping it, selling it, moving on out of the i8 world? What are your thoughts?
It's a tough decision. I'm in the same position. Do you keep it? Do you get rid of it? It's a constant battle in our own heads. Because if we look at BMWs traditionally, the values go down, and they stay down. And that's because it's quite expensive to keep them running once they've aged, and there's a lot of plastic in the cars. In places where an American car may not use a lot of plastics, they're going to have a lot of plastics in the i8, so you're going to have things break that normally wouldn't break in another car. However, you look at the BMW Z8, and that sort of gives you a little bit of hope, because even though production numbers on the Z8 were probably 1/3 of the i8, and that thing's just has taken off, you know, very, very well. I don't know the exact value of the car right now, but the Z8 is definitely a collector's item. So will the i8 become a collector's item? Don't know. The Z8 doesn't have a battery in it like this thing does. So that's one thing it has going for it. That's the risk that we continue to keep as long as we have a battery in the car. What's going to happen with that? And that's really the trade-off. Yeah, is it better to treat the car like a cell phone or an iPad or a laptop and hope that you can just get something better one day? Or is it worth keeping around? And for a lot of people, they really enjoy the car to the point where they want to keep it for life. But you got to just remember, if you want to keep it, you want to have a lot of money on hand in order to keep it upgraded or repaired, because it's just like any other BMW, except that it has that battery in it as well. So there's a lot of risk involved.
Gotcha, man. Man, you dropped a whole lot of knowledge, and I'm not just saying this because you're here. I'm saying this as a fan and as a consumer with the BMW i8. Watching your channel, I told you saved me a few $1,000s, and you've also given me confidence to do some minor things in my car. But I also feel like if I were to get a lift, you know, in my garage, that I would have the confidence to change my oil just based on watching your video. You literally lay it out step by step. The videos are high quality. The audio sounds great. It's well lit. Where did you or was it self-taught? Where did you kind of learn how to put your YouTube videos together?
Well, YouTube for me was very foreign. And my original video was just using like a little Canon point and shoot camera, and I just set it to video. I didn't have good audio at the time, but that first oil change video was one of my highest views, because there were some I8 oil change videos out there, but they didn't go into depth, and I wanted to provide a lot more information. But having an opportunity to spend some time with YouTubers, shortly after I created that oil change video, and those folks are Corvette guys. I actually went to a little Corvette meetup in Carlisle, Pennsylvania, and I drove my I8, but I'm a Corvette fan, and I had an opportunity to meet a couple of YouTubers there, Horsepower Obsessed, Maddie's Garage, a bunch of guys. Cars Guys was there. Atomic Z06 was there. So these are Corvette guys that have YouTube channels, and I watched what they were doing, and we also talked about editing and editing software. And I said, well, this doesn't seem like it's too difficult to do. The next time I need to do work on the i8, I should really consider getting the same equipment. So I just picked up the GoPro. All my videos are shot with GoPro. And then a friend of mine here, Active Productions, he happened to be driving by one day, saw me with the i8. He says, hey, I want to take some video of you sometime. And then he's the one that got me on the music video. But he told me, he said, your audio isn't really the quality that I would look forward to hearing on a YouTube channel. So I researched getting some wireless microphones so I could improve my audio quality, and I piped them right into the GoPro. Eventually picked up a second GoPro, so I could set one over here and do the work over here and be able to capture it from multiple angles. Picked up some cheap lighting at Home Depot, and was able to just create a studio here in my garage. But I'm purely watching what other people do and watching what they're doing and finding out exactly how to replicate it and make it work for me. That's really what I'm doing, and I'm doing it on the cheap. Even my editing software, I pay for it once. It's a VideoPad video editor, and it's not Adobe. I'm not paying monthly fees on Adobe Premiere because I'm trying to do it on the cheap. If I had to pay every month for a fee for Adobe, I probably wouldn't do this. I don't need to spend that type of money on creating a YouTube channel.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, man. I use Final Cut Pro. I mean, it's a one-time fee, and through meeting you and meeting some of the other guys, if you remember, I got a discount. He told me about Evan told me about the discount, how to buy Final Cut Pro on discount. So I mean, like, I'm constantly saving money, through the friends, colleagues that I've met through YouTube, man. And I definitely love saving money, because you mentioned earlier about your channel being monetized. A lot of us, YouTubers that are on the come up, that's a goal of ours, to monetize our YouTube channel. What's something that you would say, one or two tips to a YouTuber that's out there that you feel like would help them push the ball forward to becoming monetized?
I think you need to solve a problem, number one. And if you're able to put content up there that fixes somebody's issue, whether it's not only car related, but if somebody's having trouble getting out of debt, and you have a plan and you have a structure, and you're able to just constantly say, okay, here's a story or here's a plan, come to me with questions, and then you could take those questions and make new videos about it. That's like one thing as an example. But that's number one. You got to solve a problem. If you're not solving a problem, then you're providing entertainment. And in order to be an entertainer, you just, in my opinion, you got to get lucky. If I go out there and I just start vlogging, I don't get a lot of views on that, because people are not coming to my channel for entertainment, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But I've learned over time that my DIY content, that's really the thing people come to my channel to see. So I think if you're providing some type of value where you're solving somebody's problem, that's number one. So you can sit there and talk for 3 minutes. Don't go for 10, just talk for 3 minutes about solving a particular issue. Now, if you post twice a week and you do it consistently, you have good lighting, you have good audio, then people will actually find you. But not only that, it's good to share your videos on forums. So for me, I have the I8 forums, particularly the BMW I8 group on Facebook. I participate in the forum, and it's not just to push my videos, but I actually answer people's questions there. And, you know, then they ask, well, how do you know all this stuff? And then,
Yeah.
you know, well, here's my, you know, I learned as I went along. Here's a link to my YouTube channel. And now it's to the point where I go on the I8 forum, somebody asked a question, somebody already else answered it, and they posted a link to my YouTube channel, and I don't even have to, like, engage as much. So I think really providing value and being able to find a forum or a mechanism to communicate with people and say, I'm here to help you, here to share knowledge, and you're helping solve a problem. I think that's really the key, in my opinion, the key to my success.
Gotcha. Now, the obvious question that I'm going to ask, you know, it goes both ways. It's kind of like those standard videos you see on YouTube. The top 3 things that I love about my BMW I8. The top 3 things that I hate about my BMW I8. We already know that people love the doors. I love the doors. That would be, as they say in politics, it would be a softball question from the media. But I don't want to throw you a softball. I want to throw you a little curveball. You know what I'm saying? So outside of the doors, what are those 1 or 2 things, man, that are your favorite things about the I8?
It's a Jekyll and Hyde car. It will be both a daily commuter with excellent gas mileage, and you could get 45 miles a gallon driving back and forth to work, better than a Prius. And then when you decide to go into sport mode, you are now dealing with a high-performance sports car. That's the #1 thing for me. That's the reason why I daily drive mine, because I don't own anything else to get this kind of gas mileage. It saves me a ton of money. Why would I drive anything else? That's the big thing. But I can also, you know, get on the road, and if there's a nice twisty road where I want to take the corners really fast, this is the car that I'm in at the time. I don't have to change cars. It used to be that I had to take my truck home, my daily driver, and get my Corvette out, and then go on those back roads. But now I'm already halfway home and I'm on a back road. Why not just flip into sport mode and enjoy it? That's probably the #1 thing. #2, it really opens, and we've had this conversation earlier on, it opens doors for me. People approach me more often because I have the car, and I'm an introvert. I don't seek out attention, but the car gets a lot of attention, and people have come to me asking me questions, and it really, I like to meet the public. I really do like to engage with people, but it's really that initial meeting. The car does it for me. I don't have to reach out. The car does all the work.
Yeah, you know, I would almost answer the other side of that question. You know, I'm going to answer it as an I8 owner. You know, what are the 3 things or 1 or 2 things that I hate about my BMW I8? Man, the cost of the maintenance. You know, that whole thing with the AC compressor that once I started talking to you, it's almost like popcorn. Oh, pop, pop. Somebody else said AC compressor. Oh, somebody else said AC compressor. I think you sent me a video of some steam or smoke or something coming out of the hood of an I8 one time.
Yep.
You know, it's those kind of things that are on my short list of things that I don't like, because in past times, if I had a car, give me some consistent trouble. You know what I'm going to do, Pat? You got to go. But I have such an affinity, man, for this I8, man. It's like I really want to keep it 10 years from now, 20 years from now, and I have a BMW I8. Y'all remember the BMW I8? Yes. I have one in my garage, and it's not under a car cover. It's still operating. You know, but what are those 1 or 2 things that you would say, you know, I really don't have a liking, or it's on your short list of things you don't like about your
I8? Yeah, definitely the expensive repairs. There have been 1 or 2 folks who have had their engines pulled out of the car because, like the timing chain guides have deteriorated. There are things. You get in a minor accident, the car's totaled because it's carbon fiber and it's very easy to write the car off. There are times where the windshield will crack on you, or, you know, anytime that you end up driving down the road and just having a small rock hit it, the windshield is so thin and it's used really for weight savings. That's the reason why they make it so thin. You got to put a little windshield in it again. So there are some quirks about the car that are negatives, and I think that people just need to be aware of this when they get the car. If you can accept the negatives that go along with it, that's great. But number one, best insurance you can get, something that covers glass all the time. And I've had people say, I haven't had glass issues. And I say, well, I have a stress crack in my car. Go out and make sure you get zero deductible glass coverage on your I8, because this windshield's like $3 or $4 grand, plus, all the labor that goes into it. Don't run a high deductible on glass. Or even if people go out and get the LED headlights, and we don't have them as an option in our I8, but you can get an LED headlight that has a laser light built into it. And that laser, when you're on a really dark road and you turn the high beams on, then there's another laser in there that gives you an even better range of light. But if you have to replace one of them headlights, just one of them headlights alone is about $6,000. So, if you have insurance coverage on comprehensive, for example, for rock hits it, if you have a really high deductible, that may be $1,000 out of pocket for your deductible, plus the insurance company has to pay $5 grand to replace it, and all of a sudden you're getting real close to that threshold where how much can go wrong with this car before it's totaled? And that's the one thing. It's kind of delicate in that regard. The high technology is great, but it's just like a cell phone. You don't want to drop it.
No, and I'm glad you said what you said about the glass. Literally, maybe 3 days, 5 days of me owning my I8, I got a chip, and I was driving down the highway, and I heard it when it happened. It sounded like a shotgun, like, and I jumped a little bit, and then I saw it. It was a dot, and the next morning when I came outside, I started the car, I saw it. It started moving, just like that. And right from the beginning, I've always been a zero deductible, $100 deductible type guy with my insurance. I've gotten older. I don't have any points on my license. Let me knock on this table and wood and stuff. So I've always had cheaper insurance, even with a zero deductible. So I had literally had a $100 deductible when I first bought the car, and I saw the price tag. And the guy that changed my windshield, he'd been doing windshields for, he said, about 30 years. Never done a BMW I8 before. We were in the parking lot at BMW, behind the building, because you have to do it on site at BMW, because you can't drive the car because the speedometer has to be adjusted by BMW. So they can't pull up at your job. Safe Flight can't come to your job and do it. They have to do it on site at BMW. Legally, they have to do it on site at BMW, or your speedometer is going to be off. So I'm in the parking lot, nervous. The technician talking about he's never done one before. And I'm sitting there like, okay. So you know what I did? I went straight to YouTube, went straight to Google, and there is a shortage of BMW i8 windshield videos. No one had one out there replacing one. Well, there's one out there now. My video, it's out there. But what you just said about the price, the cost of the windshield, those are the kind of things that I'm glad you're bringing up, because there are a lot of people who approach me, and I'm sure they approach you, that they love the i8, man. They want a i8. What's a good thing you would tell a person, man, that is sitting at home right now? They want an i8. What's something good that they would really, really enjoy? And we're getting close to being short on time here, but you got about a good 5 minutes on this one.
So rephrase your question. I'm trying to understand what you're going for.
Somebody wants to buy I8 right now, and we've been talking about the things that probably scare the life out of them. So I'm trying to bring them back around to why we love the I8, and what are some of those things that would say, man, this is why you need to buy I8. I know you just heard about the cost, and we gave you fair warning on the windshield, but what is that one or two things where you would say this is why you need to buy
I8? Well, it's hard for me to sell the car because, I'm the type of person that I hear more people interested in the car and unaware of the potential issues they could run into. So I'm constantly bringing people back down. Like, you're going to walk up to the car. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be so cool. Hey, this is an affordable car that has the doors that go up, and it's rare. There's only 6,500 of them in the United States. So, the car's going to sell itself for the most part. I'm the guy that says, slow down. You know, these are the things you need to concern yourself with before you get it. Back up, look for problems with the car before you ever decide to put any type of money down on it. You know, try to find the best mechanic you can to do pre-purchase inspection. Not a lot of mechanics understand the car, so I try to bring people back down to earth. I think for overall, the car pretty much sells itself. But for those people that are anti-BMW I8, and there are plenty of people out there, the car is quicker than you think. A lot of people say, oh, it's a hybrid. It's a three-cylinder. It's got to be slow. No, it's quicker than you think. And it actually handles very well in the corners because it's got torque vectoring, kind of like the Porsche, all-wheel drive system does. So you can stay on the throttle in the corners, and it's going to take you through. And it's fun to drive in the twisties. It's really, really fun to drive. It puts a smile on your face when you put it in sport mode, and at the same time, you don't have to open your wallet when you go to the gas pump. And I got to admit right now, I hate spending money on things, especially when I got to dump money on fuel. I don't have to do that anymore. With the i8, even right now, I went out for a sporting drive yesterday. I'm seeing 35 miles a gallon. I couldn't even see that on my old Dodge Dart.
Nah, you right, man. And I saw a question in there, and I've been just scrolling through, looking at somebody was saying there's a shortage of videos out there, and he said you guys are fixing that. And I'm like, hey, yeah, we're working on it. And Daily Grind Family said, what's the price difference between the i8 and the i8 Roadster? What is the typical price difference between those two?
I want to say that the Roadster was probably 15 grand more, brand new. They're not. Some of the options, for example, you and I have the Pure Impulse World, which was a $10,000 option, right, over the base price. But when on the used market, usually things like that don't really matter. So as the car ages, obviously 2019s and 2020s are Roadsters, so they're still very new. But as the car ages, I think it should be easily, in 4 years from now, 3 or 4 years from now, it probably won't be more than a $5,000 difference between a coupe and a Roadster, and that's just a guess. So it's really not, it's not that expensive of a thing. You just lose back seats, so you don't have as much luggage storage, and to me that's kind of important. And of course, the look of the Roadster, if you like that look, that's cool. I like my temperature to be between 70 and 72 degrees at all times. So a Roadster will never work for me at all.
No, not at all, man. And on another note, man, like I said, I really thoroughly enjoy watching Pat's Garage online. Tell the people, man, where they can find you at, where they can find your YouTube channel, what they need to type in for that. And we pinned your IG handle here in the chat. But tell us about your channel and where they can find you.
Absolutely. It's on YouTube, Pat's Garage Online. I also do have an Instagram for Pat's Garage Online, and that's just in case one day the i8 leaves the garage. I'm not going to be i8 Pat anymore. So I do have Instagram, so you're welcome to follow that, although there's not a lot of content on there right now. It's all here. And I do have a website, patsgarageonline.com, which I'm going to eventually start rolling some more things out, some blog material. I may have some merch. Some people are actually asking me about shirts now, which, never had that before. So I might be rolling out like a shirt store or something like that, and maybe some mugs as well. I mean, people sometimes like to buy things, and it does help support the channel and keep the YouTube channel running. So.
Yeah, no, I like that, man, and I'm glad you shared it, because I think more people need to come to the channel, even if they don't have a BMW i8, because again, you're a garage. You're not just locked into the BMW i8. There's a great video where you were was it ceramic coating your wheels?
Yep.
And I think you did a ceramic coating on the Ford.
Yep.
Yeah. So guys, man, there are so many different things that he does on his channel. It's not gonna just be the BMW i8, but I see how much it costs to ceramic coat these days. I think there's a lot of value that you're giving out for free on your channel.
Thank you, and don't forget also. Rebecca has a VW Jetta, so even she uploaded an oil change video there. So you might have some Volkswagen material here as well.
Yeah. And Rebecca, when she did that video, man, if I'm not mistaken, man, I think you told me it took off really fast and got a lot of views, right?
Yes, yeah, she had over like 8,000 views in no time.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's the thing about YouTube, man. It's absolutely amazing. I could put a video out with every technical aspect that is known to man. The next person sitting right beside you could put a video out that just says, "Hey, man, it's a cool car. I think you should get it." And next thing you know, they have 4,000, 5,000 views. Or, in my opinion, and I tell female Mopar girls, I like to call them Mopar girls, Mopar gals, Mopar women. They have a distinct advantage, man, because I've seen some of them and their channels take off because a lot of us guys, we listen to women. And when we see a cool female working on a car, I think that's one of the dopest things, man. Are there some female channels or female IG folk or any females in the game that maybe we will recognize or that we should maybe recognize or follow?
Absolutely. Number one, Heidi and Franny's channel. Heidi and Franny's Garage, because they're constantly doing DIY work, and I'm learning so much. Even though a lot of the content is Porsche related or Volkswagen, I am learning so much just watching it, and the quality is so good. Number two, Sarah N2. So Sarah has a couple project cars that she's picked up over the years in addition to her daily driver. She's entertaining, really enjoy her content as well. And you mentioned Mopar Girls. I actually follow Shape a Girl 392 on Instagram.
Yeah.
And she recently did a little drag race with the Dobre brothers up here in Maryland. But I think she's down in North Carolina. I mean, there's I don't care what gender you are. I'm going to learn something from you, or I'm going to be entertained by your content. And I think that's another part of having a great car community. I think being able to just tear some of the walls down and be able to cross gender, race, you name it. That's the one great thing about the car community. So.
Man, and Pat, again, we're like Mel Gibson and Danny Glover because you literally just jumped all into my as a lawyer closing argument. You just basically said everything that I wanted to hear. I was going to ask you to kind of leave us with some of your thoughts because Car Talk TV, we're not just talking about cars. We want to bring the car community together. Large YouTubers, when we say large, we're talking about numbers. Small YouTubers, people that just like cars that don't even have a car, teenagers that wish they had a car. Our goal is to bring everybody together in a safe, inclusive environment, man. And I'm glad you said what you said. And just as we close, man, I wanna thank you on behalf of myself, Car Show Rail. We want to just overly thank you, man, because you're a stand-up guy. And what are some one or two words you would like to leave one with a good minute of time?
I really hope that all the content that I've produced is invaluable over the years. I know that this car is timeless, and I hope that I've been able to do the community a service to help owners in the future who may be 10, 20, 30 years in the future. I may no longer be doing YouTube, but I hope this content has been valuable to people, and I just hope that as time goes on, no matter what kind of car I got, if people want to learn, I'm willing to share it. And if they have any questions, I hope they reach out. It's always a pleasure, again, having this social media platform to be able to have a big family that we do. And I sincerely appreciate you and Car Show Rel inviting me to come on to Car Talk TV. I think it's an excellent idea. And I certainly see it taking off. It's going so.
Hey, man, again, man, we thank you. We appreciate everything that you're doing, man. And we look forward to many more years of communicating with you and just growing the Car Talk TV network, Car Talk TV family, as you tell your audience about us and we tell our audience about you, man. Again, thank you so much. So that's all we got, Pat. That's all we got. Car Talk TV every Sunday, 5 p.m. I was about to give you a virtual high five. Every 5 p.m. every Sunday, man, Car Talk TV, man. And we're going to load these videos on the Car Talk TV YouTube channel. So we'll be sharing that link in the description at Car Talk TV. Y'all have a great and wonderful day.
Thank you.